Hello everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm joining a celebratory blog hop organized by Laura Sturks to celebrate her YouTube channel reaching 10,000 subscribers. Huge congratulations to you, Laura. You've done an amazing job. By joining our blog hop, you can win some fantastic prizes from sponsors. You can find detailed information about the prizes and the giveaways on Laura's blog as well as on mine. There is a link to both blogs in the video description below. To enter the giveaways, you'll need to subscribe to Laura's YouTube channel and to leave comments along the videos of the hop in order to win the prizes. I am the last stop on this blog hop, so be sure to start from the beginning on Laura's YouTube channel. I created a very simple floral card using a few of my current favorite supplies, and I'll walk you through the creative process in this video. Often when I start working on a project, I like to either create a sketch for myself to help me visualize my future card a little better, or I like to use products themselves and make a real-life sketch, so to speak. So this is what I have on my desk right now. I have a smaller scalloped oval die from the Pretty Pink Posh, and this die will outline the focal point of my project. I also have a few florals from the Freehand Florals stamp set from W+9, and I'll be stamping and cutting these out. And I also have a Hello die from the hand-lettered Hello set, also from W+9. As I'll be working on my project, you'll notice that some of the elements I originally selected will change, and I'll also add additional pieces to my card design, but the starting point will remain the same. I often use this approach of creating a sketch on my work surface when making cards, and I find it to be very helpful. As for the inks, I'll be using Alt-Nu Crisp dye inks today to do my stamping, and the reason I'm going with these inks is because they almost do not stain stamps. And since the florals I selected for my card are layering stamps, I don't want to have them stained just yet. Plus here I have a nice gradation of color from light to dark, and overall I happen to like these colors a lot. I'm going to begin by die cutting the shapes from the Freehand Floral stamp set using coordinating dies, and I'll cut two sets of shapes so that I have two of each element for my card. You can first stamp and later die cut, but this Freehand Florals stamp set was designed so that if you plan to cut the shapes out, you'll need to first cut and then stamp to have perfect alignment. I'm going with a simple and classic color combo for any floral arrangement: yellows, pinks, and greens. In here I'm using Buttercream as my lightest color, Mango Smoothie as my medium color, and Warm Sunshine as my darkest yellow color to stamp the yellow flowers. And I'm making the largest flower yellow, as well as a few smaller flowers will be stamped in the same color to complement my floral arrangement. These flowers are rather easy to align. I just went to W+9 website, pulled out the alignment chart on my phone, and tried to follow it. I didn't follow it to the letter, especially with the smaller flowers, but I was still able to create gorgeous blooms, and I really like the layering stamp sets where there's room for error. I don't always get my layering stamps absolutely right, so it's nice when the flowers and leaves still look beautiful even with little imperfections. I'm going to speed this part quite a bit as I don't want to bore you with the entire stamping process, although it didn't really take that long, only about 15 minutes. To stamp the leaves, I used Frayed Leaf as my lightest color and Forest Glades as my darkest color. Please never mind my cat meowing in the background. So only two colors of green. I did want to mention the paper I'm using. This is Simon's 120-pound extra thick white cardstock, and I really love how these stamps and these inks work on this particular paper. I did try stamping these same flowers using these same inks onto other kinds of paper, and I wasn't happy with my stamped impressions. So that's why I selected this particular paper for this card. For my pinks, I'm using Frosty Pink as my lightest color, Cotton Candy as my medium color, and Coral Berry as the darkest color. After my stamping was done, I moved on to die cutting. I first wanted to create an inlaid die cut look and inlay a gold scalloped oval inside a white cardstock panel. But as I kept on working on my card, I realized I liked that white die cut there much better, so I ended up not using the gold one. I did save it for another project though. After I die cut the oval, I kept all the pieces together and I used washi tape to temporarily hold all three pieces of cardstock together. You can skip this step, but I really wanted to have some sort of a frame in the center of my card to help frame the focal point. If you don't have this die, you can use a frame stamp, for example, and just stamp a frame onto your background. I arranged my stamped and die-cut flowers over the base panel, and I used some more washi tape to tape all of these in place so that I could easily move this cluster and do some stamping in the background. Again, I pulled up that stamping guide from the W+9 website and picked a few additional images I wanted to stamp in the background to have a fuller bouquet. I used the exact same colors of ink and stamped additional images onto the background, overlapping the die-cut frame. Alternatively, it would have been much easier to first do all the background stamping and later die-cut the oval frame in the middle, but since I had another idea in mind at first, that's why I first die-cut and then did my stamping. And because I had the pieces connected with washi tape, it wasn't difficult to stamp this at all. Here I tried removing the white frame and replacing it with a gold one, and it did look nice, but I just didn't like the look of that gold on this card. I wanted a simpler and cleaner looking project, so I avoided using gold. I put the white frame back in place and stamped the Hello sentiment in dark chocolate ink and also stamped Friend, so the sentiment reads Hello Friend. I did originally wanted to use a die, a hand-lettered Hello die, but decided I had plenty die-cut elements on this project, so it was better to stamp the sentiment instead of die-cutting it. I also used one additional die, a scalloped border from the Stitched Borders 2 die from Pretty Pink Posh, to add a nice border to the bottom part of my panel. I had my focal point shifted to the top, so I knew I wanted to add some sort of a border to balance things out. I used quite a few foam adhesive squares and adhered them from the back of my panel to not only foam mount it onto a card base, but also to connect the die-cut frame and keep all the pieces together. I foam mounted this onto an A2 top folding card base made out of white wood grain cardstock, as I wanted to have some texture in the background. I also used foam adhesive to foam mount my floral cluster. The images were still connected with washi tape, so it was very easy to add foam adhesive and pop them up on the card the way I had originally intended. Once I adhered them, I removed washi tape strips and went on adding additional little die-cut flowers. I decided I wanted to add a little floral cluster at the bottom right corner of the scalloped border, and I added a large leaf and a small flower. And also later, to balance everything, I stamped and die-cut 2 additional small flowers and one leaf and adhered those right above the hello so that the flowers formed a visual triangle around the sentiment, and I'll show you that little cluster at the end of this video. Lastly, I added quite a bit of sequins to this card, and I used sunshine and strawberry sequins in various sizes, and these are also from Pretty Pink Posh. To adhere sequins, I like using a few tools. This is a crystal katana tool. It has a wax tip or a wax nib, and it is good for picking up little bits like sequins, and it also has a metal tip. I also like to use tweezers, and they're also very nice for picking sequins. And as for the glue, these days I really like Sakura Quickie Glue Pen. It holds sequins very nice, and I find it to be very easy to use. So I can hold my crystal katana tool or my tweezers in one hand and have the glue pen in my other hand, and it just makes adhering the sequins a little faster. I also added some white thread and I tied it into a large bow, and that finished this project. Here's a closer look at this simple floral card. Remember to pop over to Laura's YouTube channel and join this blog hop and enter the giveaways, as I'm the last stop on this hop. I'm listing the products I used to create this card below in the video description and also on my blog. Here are a few additional videos on my channel featuring cards with stamped florals. Be sure to check them out to find additional inspiration. Thank you so much for stopping by today. See you soon!